You're gonna love this.
I want to hear it. I'm objective. You're critical.
Anico at the disco.
He's positive. Join the Mixtape 615.
Today, tomorrow, yesterday,
It is the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville.
forever. Testing. 1, 2, 3. This is the Mixtape 615 podcast, baby, and this is the place to be if you're a Nashville Soccer Club fan, or you're just trying to see what's going on with them boys in gold. And I invite you to lock in with us real quick. Let's go. It's your boy Tunji, aka also known as, if you don't know what that means, but Young Turtle, the soccer face SF, doing the big kahuna, munching on the little tuna sandwich. Yo, you saw me last week, didn't you? You saw me in the Dominican. You saw me in the DR, waving the DR flag at the game. Real fan, baby. I'm out here. And you know what they call that? Steam papi. Steam papi, por favor. Yo, you know where I'm at on Wednesdays nights, man. I'm over at Southside Kitchen and Pub. They got half off whiskeys, and I'm too lit. Why? Because I just got a paycheck. Hey, I be sipping on Mai Tais in this beach in Belize, feeling cool like a summer breeze, aka the dude walking down Broadway. Matter of fact, I'm on the Gulch right now. I'm on the Gulch with a clean pair of Jordan 1s. You know what I'm saying? One of the cleanest ones that you ever did see. The golden boy with the golden voice. And I only do mustard on my hot dogs. That's why they call me Chicago Mike, baby. Mike. And this is another Mixtape 615 podcast brought to you by the Mixtape 615 supporter group. Austin, can you tell these people who you are?
All right, guys. I am Austin, a.k.a. Wildmane, a.k.a. Ginger Snap, a.k.a. the Fumbling Dublin, a.k.a. Chicky Parm, a.k.a. Redbeard. And speaking of Redbeard, we got a new co-host joining us.
Yeah, he looks like a different Logan.
Yeah, it looks like a different Logan.
What happened?
Just a little bit.
Come on, man. Don't do me like that.
But yeah, so Shea, tell him who you are.
What's up, guys? I don't mean to drag this one down. No special AKAs. My name is Shea. I'm a FIFA licensed referee, FIFA licensed agent, excuse me. I have about 25 to 30 deals under my belt in the MLS and USL, and a Tennessee native. So
let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So me and Shea actually grew up together. It's actually really cool that we've stayed in contact all these years. He's known me since basically I was a newborn. He was in 2 of my brother's weddings, but he is somebody who I go to for any kind of soccer related question. He can tell you I'm texting him often prepping for these podcasts. So we are so excited to have him on the podcast. So thank you, Shea, for joining us. And we are going to jump right into it we just had 2 matches since our last podcast. We had the Mocha FC match down in the Dominican Republic where Tunji was actually there, and then we just had our first MLS showing. Yes, watch his Twitch stream.
Yep,
we did the whole thing's first there. MLS showing against the New York Red Bulls. It was a 0-0 draw, and that one, the Mocha FC match, was a 3-0 draw win for the boys in gold, carrying that into the second leg this Wednesday. Probably will have already happened by the time this releases. But we are excited to talk about these, specifically the MLS match. Now, it was a 0-0 draw, and we had some injuries that kind of affected that. We'll talk more about that coming up. But Tunji, what did you see from our boys from this match? Kind of what was that main takeaway that you saw that you can say, hey, this is what we got to work on?
The takeaway was I saw nothing. There was nothing happened. Oh my gosh, I'm glad. I'm really sad that I didn't get to actually be at the home opener because I was exhausted after that trip. And I flew Spirit on the way back, and my back was screaming. I said nope. But this is what I saw, man. Obviously you didn't have to even need to pull up the stat, but the chances created abysmal. Nothing offensively happened until the 83rd minute of the game. That was where our first corner was in the 83rd minute.
Yeah.
What? you know, there's
and we got like a couple back to back, and that's the only reason we ended up with like 3 corners was because they happened like back to back where they hit it out.
We had 5 shots total, and 3 of them came in the last 7 minutes of the game. Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
You know, there was a couple guys who played well. Boyd played well. He looked like Hani Mukhtar was looking last year or a couple years without help. You know what I mean? Whereas he's out there making moves but no help. Taylor Washington played pretty well, man. Like they you know, there was times where
I was proud of our homegrown boy. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like that was good to see. I'm starting to see one thing I'm starting to see from Gary this year is at least from the Mocha match to this match. I mean, he played 2 90-minute games straight with an international flight in between. So, you know, if I've ever said, I've probably said some negative things about you, Taylor, in the past. I apologize because you just showed me you're the man. He also came up after the Mocha game and was just really awesome. Joe Willis, man of the match, man. Man of the match. Like Joe Willis had a game.
Save after save, man. Looked good.
Yeah. So I think that was I'm Team Panico. I'm Team Panico, but Joey, it's always Big Joey to me. You know, Big Joe Willie.
Hey, Joe said no multiple times, maybe with the help of the post a few times. I think there was a post save and a couple crossbar saves, but hey, it was his 60th career MLS clean sheet. So, you know, kudos to Joe.
Legend, bro. Godoy did really good too. He's moving the ball forward. That's what I like to see. You know, he tried to move the ball forward. The game
kind of took a shift whenever he came in. Like it really did. You know, he commanded that center. Yeah.
Well, he's a real leader. Who did you say? What did you see that didn't go so well? I've got a few in mind, but I'm wondering. Like, I mean, there's a lot. There's only a little we can talk about that went well, but there's a lot to talk about that didn't go well. What did you see?
I mean, I had to go back and rewatch. I was up on the capo stand, so you know how it is. You've got your back to the game most of the match. So, so, but in the rewatch, it felt how I saw it. You know, when I was rewatching it, the Red Bulls had all the momentum. They were creating Emil Forsberg coming in from Red Bull Leipzig. He was like, I mean, not even a minute and a half into the game, had his first shot. It was a little over the net, but dude was looking good, and he was creating chances for others too. So you know, it was kind of that typical park the bus Gary Smith match. We saw a lot of and I think it was due to some of the injuries. You know, I don't think it was necessarily I don't think it was necessarily like he was doing it and reverting back and, oh no, we have to worry about this heading into the season. I think it was a good match to do that. So Shea, I know you can kind of give us kind of this overarching because you've got a lot of MLS players, some USL players. So like coming into first match, you know, what did these players expect? You know, how are they feeling? How are they coming into this first match?
I think Nashville is very happy with the result, not with the play, but very happy with the result. I think it's a standard Nashville type of game. Bend, don't break in the back if things aren't going your way. I think what we're seeing here is what we don't see in other leagues is the effect of a salary cap, right? Nashville lacked the depth to stick with Red Bull New York. This is going to happen. Is it a cause for alarm? No, because MLS teams traditionally get much stronger as the season goes on. And MLS clubs are notoriously unfit in the months of January, February, right? I don't think we need to be alarmed, but there's very little positives I took away. I thought the defense was soft. I think there needs to be a lot of work in the final third or the final defensive third. The central defensive midfielders need to improve. Offensively, I don't think we can really judge. Right. I don't think. Yeah.
I think the defensive mid was a little soft because Davis was on that yellow that looked like it was going to be a red initially.
That was crazy. That was
lovely.
crazy.
VAR turned it back to a yellow. So I think that he was playing a little scared. He didn't want to get that second yellow because the ref was so quick to give him the red initially.
You could see he was shook when he got that red. Yeah. You could. I'd never seen his face look like that in the game. He was so shook and like confused when that red came out.
Yeah.
And I think all of us were.
Well, where did he come from? He came from, was previously
He was captain of the Red Bulls, right?
Yeah, the guy probably had a lot going on in his head right now, and if you're the Red Bulls, I think you have to walk away as if you felt like that was a win. Forsberg is going to be a star, and it is concerning that Nashville couldn't stop him.
He's going to be dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to.
Forsberg was all over the place.
Yep. I mean, if it wasn't for some big time saves and a little bit of the woodwork to help, I think we could be talking about a 4-5-0 defeat. It's that close. Yeah. It's that close. So
that's scary that you say that. Holy crap!
I think
because
watch footage and
a post does not count as shot on net, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it won't show up. If you look at the stats, it's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary. Yeah, I mean, what happens?
They had 18 shots, and 4 of those were off the post, and then 5 on net, and Big Joe Willis said no.
Oh my goodness!
What you don't see in the stats is some of those were expected goals, and they didn't go in. They did. So we got cleared off. We had it cleared off the line. We had a shot. Whatever the forward from Red Bull was doing, kicking right at Willis. It should have been a tap in for him.
Oh yeah.
You don't see that. Willis kept him in the game, but New York kept themselves out of the game. It's a lot to build.
Oh man, we knew going in it was gonna look ugly. It was, and I called it with the trip to the DR and then turn around.
You said a 1-1 draw, I think is what it was. But
I said 1-1 draw.
We're just lucky to come away with the draw.
I know, man. Real quick, man. Some of the stuff that I saw that was just that didn't go well. I thought Schaffelberg struggled, man. I really thought he struggled. He just wasn't able to get anything going when the ball came to him. It felt like he was always getting like double man marked, and maybe some of it. I really do think that, like, look, man, I need you to step up in these moments when Hani's not gone. We haven't even mentioned that. We haven't even mentioned the fact that Hani, Sam, all three of our DPs, all three of our designated players,
Dan Levitz, and Walker Zimmerman.
Yeah, that was the core of our team. So walking away with a 0-0 draw. I mean, we do a spaces after every game, a Twitter spaces, and we were on there last time with some really amazing people, and who walked me off the edge. I was like, the season's over. This is terrible. We're an awful team. But what can be said is the back line also struggled until Walker came in, which it got a little bit better. Jeff Remlinger over at Broadway Sports Media, NSC Music C Stats on X, he mentioned Mahir's 75% pass accuracy rate. That certainly didn't help move the ball into attacking third or build anything. Drew Yearwood, an ex-Red Bull guy, wasn't at all as effective as he was in the DR.
Now, I'll say, because we haven't recorded since the Mocha match, he did look really good in the Mocha match. This one was a little worrisome, and maybe it was some of the jitters. He was playing his old club.
I mean, he literally just came over for them.
A little bit of that.
He literally was just there. What do you guys think? Did anyone see Teal? First off, happy birthday, Teal.
Happy birthday.
But we gotta talk about it. Did anyone see Teal? What are people's thoughts on Teal Bemba? I know it's been a lot of talk on Twitter, a lot of negative talk, and I'm not really, especially in Facebook. The Facebook group. Not really happy about that because at the end of the day, he's still a pretty vital piece to our team right now. But what are you guys' opinion on Teal? And then I'll give you mine. And then
I'll let Shea take this one.
What's he going to do? He's 34 years old. The guy, when you get up in this age in the MLS, you're playing a center forward striker role. You need service. And the reality is he just wasn't getting the service. He's not going. Look, you even see it with Suarez. Suarez is going to be more versatile of a player. But when you hit those mid-30s as a forward, your name's not Cristiano, right? Your game is going to be predicated on hanging around the box and making small runs and poaching some goals. So without proper service, I don't think Bunbury is going to be incredibly effective with the players around him. And I would assume that Red Bull planned appropriately. I don't want to, this sounds bad, but who were they going to be afraid of? Red Bull, right?
Yeah, Tyler Boyd was the best showing for Nashville.
No, well, you were hoping it would be Tyler and Schaffelberg, but like I keep saying, it just wasn't effective.
85th minute, we started. They showed up, so
that was Mackenzie Gaines.
That
was Mackenzie Gaines.
Yeah,
I'm going to put that on Mackenzie.
Gaines had a good. Mackenzie Gaines had a good move towards the net. Shot on. Did he have a shot on net? Right, or did it? Or maybe.
No, I think he got
not a shot on net, but
and then he
had a
got
good move
Tyler,
towards the net.
Tyler slipped. when he went to shoot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But Tyler Boyd also had a really, really good service ball. It was maybe a yard off from Teal Bunbury, and that could have been a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look. We all saw. Look, Teal, I think, like you said, that was a really good point, by the way, Shea. Like, he does need service. I think if you get him good service, there was one time where Boyd got the ball, but he just couldn't make it happen. And I don't know if the pass was that far off target. We're not going to go into it. I mean, Teal is Teal. You know, he's not. He's
not blue. He's not green. He's somewhere in between.
So he's Teal.
He's Teal.
The big question is, and always will be, I think, for Nashville SC is, who is this team going to be without Hani Mukhtar on the pitch? And we're going to kind of get into that in this next segment when we talk about these injuries that we went into this game with.
Hey, Mixtape 615, are you ready for the 2024 season? We want you to join us. Join our supporters group. It is the dopest supporters group in all of Nashville. So sign up right now at mixtape615.com and rock your 2024 membership scarf so you can show off and say, we run this pitch. Imagine standing on the field, feeling the energy of the game close up, all of the energy of the stadium. That's a reality for our members. You can get on-field opportunities, plus get access to our tailgates where you'll bond with fellow fans over great food, soccer passion, and don't miss out on our epic away game watch parties. So sign up now, mixtape615.com, and join for the 2024 season.
And we are back, ready to talk some Nashville SC, y'all. Like we said before the break, we're getting into the injuries. It is what it is. The injuries killed us. They just did, dude. 5 overall shots, 45% possession rate, 0.2 XG, chances created, 0.2. I don't know if I've ever seen a worse chances created statistic for Nashville. Please, someone let me know. But like that, I don't think I've ever seen a worse XG for any team ever in the history of this game, of the sport. That was awesome. Since they started taking that stat, I don't think I've ever seen it that low.
It was rough. It was rough.
I imagine having to watch it multiple times. These injuries just kind of bring me back to our age-old question. You know, who are we when Hani's out, dude? Can Schaffelberg handle the attack? Is Sam Surridge going to be able to stay healthy when Hani isn't? Is Tyler Boyd going to fill in that void and lead the attack? I don't know. It's too early to tell, but it's the Boyd in the void. You know, it's too early to tell. On a management note from Gary, I think overall management of these injuries has been encouraging, you know, because we all know how tough this year is going to be with multiple cups. I'm wondering like how Gary's going to rotate and do load/injury management to actually get us to a cup this year, to get us to that silverware, which is the goal. Let me remind you again and again and again all year to this year, Nashville SC has to win some hardware. Austin, yes. I believe Ginger Snap. Thumbing Dumpling. I can never say that one. I believe you have some thoughts on Sam Surridge. Let's hear about Sam real quick, and then I might get into Hani.
Yeah. So positives. He was at training today, doing some solo work. So it is looking like he's going to come back a little bit sooner, which is good because if you all watched the Mocha FC match, he did have a pretty hard fall on his shoulder. It actually looked pretty rough. It took him a while to get off the pitch, but him already back. MRI, X-ray looked good. I know you were there, yeah. But MRI and X-ray looked good once he got back. He's already doing some training, so that's positive. But yeah, I mean, it's concerning whenever we watched the match. Like, it was positive in the sense that we walked away with a draw from this last match without Sam, without Hani. But the hope is that if Sam isn't back, we can get Wubens Pasillas, training a little bit more with the team, get him getting that chemistry. Yes. And maybe get him, more active and have Teal come in for that 1-2 punch, or vice versa, start with Teal and then bring in Wubens to kind of complement, because Tyler Boyd was basically working on an island Until Mackenzie
no
Gaines came in, he was working on an island by himself. And if we want to ask the question, like, what is our offense without, our two top goal scorers? If we want, to call Sam that, he hasn't been that yet but
that's the expectation.
If we want to call Sam
that's the expectation
going into this year. That's the expectation. Without our top two goal scorers, what is our offense? I think that is the answer. I think that getting Tyler Boyd more involved. I think that getting Mackenzie Gaines more involved. And then the hope is that Woben Spasias comes in and actually can contribute to goal scoring.
Yeah. Side note, I have some pretty good sources on Hani's sort of recovery process. I'm not gonna tell you where. The sources trust me, bro. The sources trust me, bro. But Hani may not be out for too much longer. I don't know if we're gonna see him, but I've got some inside top men have told me Hani won't be out for too long. But in regards to injuries, Shea, from your side of things, how is the MLS? We all know that injuries are part of the game. We all know that injuries are increasing because of how much is being played. I mean, that's the big argument this offseason was we're playing too many games. We got to pull out of U.S. Open Cup. From
you got Champions Cup, you've got U.S. Open Cup, you've got Leagues Cup, and then also the MLS, and then international duty for those who are leaving.
Yep. From your perspective, Shea, what is the MLS? How are we adapting to this? Are we putting our players in bad situations? Is the league doing anything? What are you seeing on the inside?
I don't think the league is ever going to do anything to mitigate, let's say, injury risk to games played, because we've discussed this in the past. It's about money for the MLS, right? And
money league soccer. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah. And I'm glad we talked about the Mocha match, because anybody will tell you that going into a game against any CONCACAF foe is going to be rough. You can expect injuries. You get a lot of these European players going in for the first time into CONCACAF. It doesn't matter who you're playing. We saw,
especially on a pitch that's in the DR. It's probably not kept as well. Now I know that it was not Mocha's pitch. It was in it was turf, a neutral site.
It was at a college. Yeah. We were playing in a college. I could have easily ran on the pitch if I wanted to.
You see, we saw it with Austin FC losing to the Haitian team last year in the Dominican Republic
on that same pitch.
And I would just to say is you can't take these games lightly, and unfortunately, you're not. You might be mentally fit if you're lucky. You're not physically fit, unfortunately, at this time of the year. You're going to walk away with injuries. Yeah. MLS is not helping. If I can turn this from MLS to Nashville. And we've also discussed this in the past, Nashville's really put their money into their offense. So I think we can give the defense a pass on this side, just because Nashville's really been built off I don't want to say an American-based defensive mids, but really CONCACAF, and they've really put all their money onto the offensive side of the ball.
Yep.
It's scary to think what happens. That was your answer, Austin. What happens when Mukhtar's not there? All the money's there, but they didn't show up. So I would be worried. That's if you can go look and see, okay, defensively you can have excuses, but that offense has no excuse not to show up even when Mukhtar's injured because of all the money they've put into it. But going back to what you guys said earlier, the schedule is relentless. You're going to have injuries. You have to deal with it. So I don't like the idea of throwing up a prayer that Mukhtar's going to be healthy all year for this team, to reach the Cup finals. They have a strong team, but I don't want to think what happens if they're not healthy.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Hani and Sam being out, what was that, $12 million? Just gone?
Gosh, yeah.
Between the two of them. And that hits an MLS team hard. $12 million missing on the pitch. You see
and
that.
And then, luckily Walker got some playing time coming back from injury, but he was out most of the match as well. And our back line, we talked about it last segment, just didn't look as good as they have in the past.
They
and
weren't.
I think when he came in, it got more solidified. You had that vocal presence in the back, that captain presence in the back. I thought, we could have put a little bit more, captain, like playing Godoy rather than Davis. Not that Davis is bad, but Godoy, it changed the game when he came in. It changed the game when Walker came in. So having more of that vet presence on the field initially, I think could have helped the game. But those injuries really kind of slowed us down.
And let me make notes to you guys about our Red Bull players here. Is Red Bull's not actually a big budget team. What's scary is they're looking for another forward through summer to pair with Forsberg. So when you take on these Red Bull players, that comes with red flags for sure, because it's not these. I would say with Yearwood came over. I remember I had a player on Red Bull at the time with high expectations, and he's never lived up to those. So you have to take that into account that these guys, Sean Davis and Yearwood, they weren't the world killers for Red Bull that some might think they were. So
yeah.
You have to expect
Yearwood wasn't a starter every match. He was, he was exactly. A rotation player.
And if he didn't have his green card, I assume he has his green card by now. We wouldn't see him in the league, I don't think. I don't think we would have seen him maintain his international status and being a player in the MLS. So I'm excited. I'll shift to Pacias. I'm very excited. He, it's 25, 30 goals. He's only 22. Canadian Premier League's not the worst in the world. And he's a big kid. And I have big expectations for him to step in.
Oh, I'm really excited. Real quick though, on the injury side, I want to get y'all's take on this. We all know that MLS is a salary cap league, which and it's a league of parity, which gives you not as great product on the field, but it's more, even, I guess. Anyone can win. I don't know why LAFC always seems to be in the finals, but anyone can win. What do y'all think? I'll start with you, Austin. What do you think is the quickest fix to that? Just increase salary cap? Let us have more DP space? Like, what do you think?
I just dislike the whole system. You don't see this in European leagues. You don't see this. Let them spend money. Stop putting restrictions on everything. Whether it's the GAM, the TAM, the designated player, the salary caps, and then because it just puts so many restrictions where if you just let these people spend money, I mean, we're talking billions in ownership, right? And so they've got the money to spend. If you would be able to do that, yes, you see the same 2 or 3 teams. Yes, me as a Nashville fan, we might not see us as much as an LA or a New York or Miami now, as much in the finals, but you would get the product on the field elevated so much. And I mean, Shea can probably speak more to this than I can, but that's just my own personal feelings just from what I see across the league. Shea, I mean, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's talk numbers. So your designated player, once you get over the threshold's around 1.7 million, all in on a player. So that means, if you have your transfer fee plus salary plus agent commission, and it's let's say if it's spread out and it's over 1.7 average, that comes out of the owner's pocket, right? So it comes down to is we have 3 play. You don't even have to fill all 3 spots. I think first off is you should have the requirement to fill all 3 spots. If they do, I don't know if you have to raise let's say the salary cap so much. It's going up with the CBA. You can see how it's going to go up, but you could increase the number of DP spots because DP spots is unlimited spending over 1.7. Comes out of the pocket.
How do you feel about like the DP? Speaking on that, just related to Nashville, how do you feel about like Walker Zimmerman being a designated player rather than bringing in like a big name international player?
Walker, because he doesn't carry any other. I should pull it up. He doesn't carry any other fees associated with him besides his salary. I think that there could be talks about keeping him under 1.7 if he's willing to open up that DP spot. I have not checked what his salary is this year. We'll find out in May when they release it. But any of those fringe type players, I think with Nashville and other smaller budget clubs do this, they'll just barely go above that threshold to fill their DP spot. And then you have someone like Miami that'll pay $40 million for Messi. I mean, that's I think where your difference comes in. I think you need to force clubs to spend their DP spots, and also to take advantage. Look, there's budget mechanisms in place, guys, for under 22-year-olds. or under U22s and young DPs where they have budget relief by bringing in these players. They can spend a lot of money and not hit the budget. So there's no excuses there not to bring in talent. It's at the end of the day, it's not the salary cap so much. It's the president's not willing to spend the money. And I think that maybe other than adding more DP spots, there's not a lot we can do, just to be honest with you, because
Now, real quick, and then Tunji, you can close us out. But how does that, how would that affect, since we were talking injuries, do you think bringing in more players at the higher quality actually helps with the product on the field when you have these kind of injuries?
Ooh, I actually can talk to that, dude. real quick, Shea.
Okay,
real quick.
Tunji.
Real quick. Reading a really good book right now called Soccernomics. It's a little old. If you haven't heard it or read it, go ahead and pick it up. It's a great book. Soccernomics. One of the things he mentioned in there was that teams in the Premier League were spending a lot of money on big signings when those big signings just didn't. The statistics showed that it just didn't pan out to the success they were looking for on the pitch. It was really more just pay your players more. Pay your players more. Keep the good guys there. And stop trying to chase these big names, these big signings, because a lot of the statistics show it just doesn't add up to more wins, more trophies.
Shea and I both are, big Pittsburgh Penguins fans in the NHL, and we've seen that year after year. They're trying to bring in these big name players, but if the chemistry isn't there, and if then you're not going to see the product.
And
sorry, go ahead, Shea.
Pins off perfectly into what I was going to say earlier. This is why you have Huntsville there, right? You have players that already know the system. We have enough analytics available that should be able to help plug in players into a system in addition. You're right. Big money doesn't always equate to success. So I'd like to see Nashville. Unfortunately, at this point in time, there's such a massive gap between the first and second teams in MLS. It's difficult, but I'd like to see Nashville be able to. You don't have to be a highly rated player to be able to step into MLS and be successful and Nashville's a very system oriented club. So how do I, and to answer your question with the injuries, I don't know. I think you just have to have guys that are ready to step in, that know exactly how to play their parts.
That next man up mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Because as you mentioned, guys, the salary cap does indeed cause, you can't be a Bayern Munich and have a whole starting 11 sitting your bench ready to come in. And we've seen the Bayern this year the money has not. It
doesn't matter. You bring in Harry Kane, one of the greatest goal scorers in the Premier League, and now he's looking like he might have record-breaking opening season for the Bundesliga, and yet they're talking about already talking about getting rid of their manager.
It's crazy, and I think Nashville needs to take a step back and ask themselves: do we want to continue with this system, or do we need to make some changes?
Yeah, well, speaking of changes and money problems and not having enough depth, we've got some referees who might be fitting that bill. We're going to talk about that right after the break. You guys know I be too lit on Wednesdays at Southside Kitchen Pub, but it does not have to be a Wednesday for you to get too lit with me at any of our away watch parties. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Mixtape615 for all watch party information so you can get in the mix with us, me, Logan, and Ginger Snap. Let's go.
All right. Well, welcome back, Mixtape 615 listeners. We are getting right into our MLS ref lockout, or I don't know. Is it they're on strike or what's going on? We started the season with replacement refs. We saw the product that happened on the field. It wasn't up to par. MLS, standard isn't as high as we would like it already as it is. And then these replacement refs, kind of lowered the bar even more. We kind of saw how some of that affected the team and affected the and affected the play, or rather the calls that we saw. In Nashville specifically, we saw Sean Davis get an immediate red Yes, it was a booking. Yes, it was a sloppy challenge. But luckily we had, yes, Shea, thank you. If you're not watching, he did the VAR motion. Luckily, VAR overturned that. We got to keep our captain on the field at the time. But Shea, can you speak a little bit more to this, like ref lockout and what's going on? I know their collective bargaining agreement just expired in January, and they're working on negotiating a new one.
Yeah, I don't know where we are in negotiations, but I can tell you where we are status-wise on the field is refs are overworked at the time. Refs are taking on more games, the current referees. I'm not saying that can lead to errors or will lead to errors, but it's something we need to look out for. And one of the, let's say, two key points that we're not seeing is we're not seeing verbal communication with the crowd based of a VAR decision. And we're also not seeing the affected and proposed 10-second rule with substitutes. And this is strictly due to the current, well, depending on what side you ask, either a strike or a lockout. So you're and in the booth you're seeing let's say older referees that had experience in the VAR booth that are not currently MLS referees this year taking over. There's being some switches between the assistant VAR, current VAR, doing whatever they can to make ends meet until this fiasco ends.
Who are the people that we're seeing on the pitch right now? Who are these guys?
I have no
lower
idea.
leagues.
They're
Some of their credentials are like college. Yeah, I was about to say some of their credentials are college refs.
They're used to refereeing in front of maybe at that 5,000 people, maybe even at that's on the higher end.
And for those of you who don't know, if you look at like the level gap that it is, because if you think of like in other leagues like NFL and NCAA, there's not as far of a gap between those refs. In MLS and then collegiate soccer refs, there is a much larger gap as far as their abilities, their whatever you want to call it.
Some of these guys are Sunday beer league refs. Like, I'm not trying to go off on these guys, but like you could see it. They're
coming in to fill a role and they're coming in to do the best that they can. But the best that they can is not the standard that we want. Yeah, I mean, the best that they can do isn't the best that we want to see on the. We've already complained. We complain every season about the reffing in the MLS, and then we're they're demanding extra pay. I literally mentioned it to here. Hold on. I literally mentioned it to my wife, who is not, you both kind of know her. Shea knows her a little bit more. But I mentioned to my wife, who's not a huge sports fan, but knows a little bit. And I said, they've done the lockout. And she says, then ref better. Like, if you want to get paid more, then ref better.
Yikes. Hey, it be like that sometimes. That's why they're able to MLS got kind of able to get away with it. That the refs that they bringing in, these replacement refs, they didn't even have to pass the FIFA men's pro fitness test that all refs are supposed to pass to be on the pitch. How do they literally
call offside if they can't keep up with the players? Exactly.
We're literally just like saying screw the rules just to get these guys on the pitch, and as opposed to just paying the refs. And it's not even about what I heard, and this was on CBS Golazo, I believe. What I heard was it's really the one of the main sticking points as to why this is happening is that. It's one of the big things is just the quality of travel. Like it's the travel budget that they're arguing. Yep. It's like $500,000 that they're arguing over. The MLS is willing to go to this length just to show that they've got all the power and all the money. Money leagues soccer. That's what we're talking about. I saw
one of the refs who's kind of like one of the faces. He said like on the low end, some of these refs, and these are the full-time ones. Some of them are like some of the assistants aren't full-time. They still got day jobs. But the full-time refs on the low end might be making around like 20,000 a year. And that's ridiculous. So I will say that.
How can you travel on that? But on that, there's no way.
I think part of what we're seeing here is a heavy reliance on VAR, where you do have experienced referees behind the scenes right now, and they're basically hoping that they can use the inefficiencies of the current ref to fall back on VAR if something's missing. Like, hey. Well, if they screwed up on the field, at least we have VAR to catch it. We have MLS uses 12 cameras on the field, and you have in the VAR booth, you're having a ref, an experienced ref more than on the field, watch every second of that play, communicating every run of play to make sure that, hey, things like offsides and whatnot are missed. And my honest guess is that they're just hoping VAR carries the load until we have a deal that's agreed upon.
They being the MLS, not they being the refs on the field. The MLS is just hoping that these experienced refs. Now, would you say like these refs in the booth are more experienced than like the refs who were in the booth last year? You think that they actually have more experience and kind of brought in at least bigger, heavy hitters, if you will, in the VAR booth?
Yeah, I think at least some of them. And I think those that are getting trained by very experienced refs in the booth. So I would feel pretty comfortable where you are with VAR given the lockout. I think other than the lack of communication you're seeing currently, I would feel comfortable.
Well, it also takes away the power from the. It also takes away the power from the actual refs on the pitch, though. Like if we're relying on VAR, isn't the rules like the central referee on the pitch is supposed to have the final word? But that's not even the case anymore with this strike, and the fact that we're having to over rely on VAR. Like, what?
It's still now correct me if I'm wrong, Shea. It still falls on the main official to make the call when he goes to look at VAR.
Correct. VAR is not going to tell him what call to make. They'll simply communicate the play itself, provide the proper footage, and then ask the referee, for example, hey, is this the point of contact? Is this the proper view? Is this what you see? And then the referee makes his own conclusion on the field.
I know, but these refs are inexperienced though. Like they're gonna. There's a possibility where these refs are like, hey, I don't know what to call, and they're just going with VAR says.
Yeah, I was gonna say, luckily it helped us because now the inexperience of the ref, Sean Davis, as you know, Sean Davis got an immediate red in like the 21st minute. It was early in the match. Got an immediate red for it was a rough challenge. I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely a booking. But to see an immediate red, especially that early in the match, crazy. And then luckily we did have the experience of the VAR refs pulling him in, and he did change it, downgrade it to a yellow. So at least it did help Nashville SC this time, because Nashville SC, as we know, we're always complaining. I feel like, and maybe this is every fan base, I'm sure it is, but I feel like Nashville SC gets all the worst calls. No,
it's only us. We're nobody likes us and we don't care. It's only us. Nashville SC gets the worst calls.
Well, no, actually, if you look at the stats, I think Nashville had 3 yellow cards to 0 yellow cards for Red Bulls. So, I mean, when you look at the stats, maybe Nashville.
No, they did.
Maybe Nashville. No, I don't think that they did. Maybe Nashville just plays a little bit sloppier. But I just double checked it. 3 yellow cards to 0 yellow cards for Red Bulls.
Well, just remember, and luckily in MLS, that there has to be, and this is a very American way of thinking of things, beyond beyond a doubt of the play. What's the term, Austin?
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So there has to be conclusive evidence.
Conclusive evidence.
That might have been a red. We might have seen that in another league, but MLS, and for whatever it's worth, sometimes 12 cameras doesn't do it justice. You don't see a proper angle. But with this being a red card on the field, there had to have been a clear angle to downgrade, and there was no clear intent, or there was no, hey, this is definitely a red card for it to stand. So
just going to immediate red. Now, Shea, I don't know if you know like the exact ruling on this, but for it to go like skip over a yellow and just go to an immediate red, what are the requirements of a foul to go to an immediate red?
Oh gosh, it depends. I mean, you're looking at everything from denial of a goal scoring opportunity, or if we're talking a foul, it would be cleats up with.
Because that was like mid pitch. Like it was actually kind of in our first third, if you will.
Yeah, with a really stiff cleat up, and with an intent. And there's a lot that goes into it. If it's a lot of accidental cleats up, will slide, and this is one of those cases in MLS. They will let that slide, and you might see it elsewhere called differently. But for red cards, it's significantly stricter in the MLS now. You have the VAR to support it, and they want to see. I mean, you don't want to see a red card, and I think MLS does a pretty good job of mitigating that.
Yeah, man. I think look, overall, just to like kind of go from the overall to what we're gonna probably start seeing on the pitch. We got away this week. I mean, there was so many factors against us, and then just have this nice little cherry on top of inexperienced refs. Again, not their fault. I'm not going to ever endorse or be the person to say, hey, just ref abuse or anything like that. No. I mean, only when we're on the pitch, but but in a playful way, like the game is supposed to be. But I just think that I just keep thinking that look, it's going to get worse before it gets better. We know that the PRSA and MLS are still light years apart on where they need to be. We don't know how long this strike is going to last at this point. My fear is that this could lead to our players being injured, like we just talked about, because of unfair calls or poor calls. More poor calls than we usually get. I think that game management from these inexperienced refs is going to be horrendous, which leads to what I'm talking about: injuries, or even just like that one.
Exactly.
We all know, man. Sometimes the difference is just one lucky or unlucky call, and that could be 3 points. Those 3 points could be the difference between where we rank in Leagues Cup.
Yeah, we saw it in Miami this week. Busquets got fouled. I'll say this, because he didn't even get touched. If you go back and look at the replay, it was a second yellow, red card. Messi goes down and scores just a couple minutes later. It changed the game because of a bad call.
Yeah, well, the bad call, not being able to perform in that high, it's a pressure cooker, dude. We're in the supporter section, and we can feel how intense those matches get. So the referee is supposed to be that calm metronome. He's supposed to know when to help speed the game up and slow it down. Without that high level of football and standing, these games will be altered. We're already looking at a rough season with everything going on with U.S. Open Cup. There's already a lot of controversy, but these games are going to be different, and we're gonna have to adjust to that as fans and as the team.
Now, Shea, do you see these refs specifically? I don't know. We're all kind of going in not really sure the level of these refs, but do you see these refs trying to err on the side of caution and issuing more bookings? Or do you see them kind of trying to let it play and maybe having to realize and reel it back in?
Well, keep in mind that some things are not reviewable, right? So if you I don't know if I would say that they're going to hold back on giving straight reds because those are reviewable, right? And they're not a current MLS ref. So I don't know if they're going to have that sort of punishment, so to speak. And it can't go without saying that MLS has just invested millions into a new VAR system, 7-year contract. They want VAR to work. And how are they communicating this with their current VAR I don't know. And I don't want to create a conflict of interest. I have no idea. I just know that there's a lot of money that MLS has pumped into a new VAR technology. And I know that they want that to work. I don't know what they want to work on the field, but I know they want that technology to work. So I think that
no, we don't want to go to an all digital ref.
Lord,
a chat GPT ref.
There we go. And I would say at some point they have to keep in the back of their head, these refs, is this call reviewable, right? And I think as long as they know a call is reviewable, they'll be a little bit more lenient. They'll be a little bit more loose on how a ref on the field calls that, knowing that it can be reviewed. And they might not have that sort of, hey, you're not going to ref any more games after this if you make a mistake. Well, who's going to step in, right? So
nobody.
That pressure. So your guess is as good as mine. But that's my feeling.
All right. Well, thank you, Shea, for all of your input. We're going to go ahead and wrap this episode 19. Episode 19.
Yeah.
We're 2 episodes away. Now, it's crazy if you look at podcasting statistics. We are 2 episodes away from being in the top 1% of podcasts who actually make it past episode 20.
That's pretty
I don't know what that actually says for us, but we're going to get there.
I don't know if we're actually there.
My desk is wood, Austin. There you go.
There you go.
Knock it.
Well, thank you all for listening to another episode. We could not do this without you guys. Thank you, Doug, our producer. This guy works round the clock. He's working tonight. He hit record for us, helped get us set up, and then he's off working, still doing stuff late into the night. Thank you, Shea, for jumping on. Jump in the comments, guys. Thanks, Shea, for jumping on here. We'll probably have him back on again, I am sure. This guy, like I said, is kind of my go-to when it comes to soccer knowledge. So thank you for jumping on with us. You can catch us on all of our socials, on Instagram, on Facebook, on X. You can hit us up at Mixtape 615, and also for all of our video content. If you want to see us goofing off, Shea doing the little VAR motions, jump on YouTube. Hit us up at Mixtape 615 Pod.
I think we need to put. I think we need to put get a milk carton image of Logan, like missing. See, if you guys see Logan, we've been looking for him.
Yeah, we don't know where he went, man. He's just missing. We replaced him with somebody who has a lot better credentials, but but guys, thank you all for listening. But for another episode of Mixtape 615, that is a wrap. We are signing off.